Good morning, everyone. Have you found your fabulous? We'll find out today on our show today.
Our goal is simple: to help you achieve the dream and vision you first had when you thought about starting a business. We're here to make growing your business less complicated. There are building blocks to build a sustainable business. We promise to seek them out and address them all. The Better Your Business Show starts now.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shanna Mavis. I want to welcome you to the Better Your Business Show. Today, we've got a special guest expert, Debbie Bettendorf. She's going to be talking to us about finding your fabulous. That's that inner confidence that all of us need. And I want to apologize for the very beginning. We are looking for Natalie Essman. She is going to be joining us soon, but you guys would normally get a great intro. But we're talking about fabulous and confidence, so we had to keep the show going. Now my earring is falling out. I'm ready to fight, I guess. Let me grab that. And this is just a day, Natalie. How are you? Natalie, are you there with us?
Hello. I don't know. Am I here?
We can hear you, but we can't. It's like you're frozen.
All right.
You were the one that introduced me to Debbie. So I want to hear from your perspective. We can see your beautiful face. So that works out. Just keep that look right there. I hate when you freeze, when, the internet is just wonky and you freeze and it's just like this odd look. But yeah, tell us what you know about Debbie. You've had a chance to spend some time with her. I want to introduce her to the audience before we bring her on.
Well, this picture is really funny. I don't know what it looks like on your end, but this is awesome. Yes, Debbie is fabulous. That's one of my words. I was laughing because I just kept saying fabulous more and more and more as we were coming towards today's show. But I really admire Debbie a lot. She is I just really, when you hear her story today, one of the things that I really appreciate about her is that she talks about how her soul's purpose was in being a mom, right? And she had this great role of being a mom. And you can tell she took so much pride and did such a great job of that. And then came to this point of life where she shifted. I'll let her tell her story. But I think I really appreciate that because I think we're kind of in a day and age where I think women don't appreciate being moms as much, or staying home and being parents and appreciating the role and the time to be able to do that. So that's one of the things that I really appreciate. And I also love that she's really helping women step into their confidence, but women especially step into their confidence and really step into their power as a woman. So that's my 2 cents, Debbie.
I love it. When you told me about her, I was super excited. And I went and I watched an interview that she did with Steve Rizzo. And it was just amazing looking at her and listening to her and just the way that he edified her. It was talking about how gracious she was, and just her personality and how she shed some light on things in a way that was easy for him to understand and to appreciate. It was just so great. And looking at her and watching her and listening to her and the care and concern that she has for people in general, it was just astounding to me. So I'm super excited. Let's go ahead and bring her on so everyone can experience the fabulous Debbie Bettendorf. Good morning, Debbie.
Well, good morning, Shanna and Natalie. I gotta say, I was getting teary-eyed. I feel like in this chapter of my life, I'm really emotional. I think it's just amazing when other women build one another up. And buddy, you were building me up.
That is Natalie. Natalie is the one that she is famous for that. I'm like, every time she introduces me, I'm like, I don't want to start the show. I want Natalie to come on because I feel real good by the time it's time for me to speak, because she is amazing at that. She's the perfect type woman.
That's amazing. And you know what? Today you were pushed out of your comfort zone because she froze. And you had to do it.
Yeah, let me stumble over this, but hey, the show must go on.
The show must go on, and you did amazing. Great. I love it.
So Debbie, tell us about you. Let's hear how this whole journey began.
Yeah, so I'll give you like the cliff notes of my life, and then you can ask me whatever you want. I'm an open book. I love to share. Have a little tour. Um, I, as you said in the beginning, in the intro, I just couldn't imagine doing anything full time outside of being a mom. Once I became a mother, I had worked for the auditor's office and did, as my career after school. And when I started having my children, I just thought, I just want to be a full-time mom, work in the community. And I really had my cup filled up. You know what they say, you got to fill your cup up. And that was my joy. That's what brought me joy. Those being a mom, being a wife, running the family business, so to speak, and, being a room mother and all of these things. And I guess in my world, I didn't even really have the forethought at that time to say, well, these kids are going to grow up and they're going to go off and do great things. And then who are you without them? And when my son was a senior in high school, I was like, in 4 more years, my daughter's going to be leaving to go to college. And that's what I want them to do. And I always tell people, if they would have said, "Oh, I just want to live in your basement," then I really would have gone into a depression, because like, what? I've been raising these kids as my job and they just want to not do anything. So, I mean, with that being said, though, it was a transition period for me. And I had to figure out who Debbie was without the identity of being Victoria's mom, Dalton's mom, David's wife. Who am I? And so I started on this journey to figure it out, to find it, like my show is called Find It. And we all get to a point in our lives, some sooner than later, where we have to sort out how we feel. Who are we? What brings us joy? Without anyone else, who are we? So I was on this path of who is Debbie. So I started a little side job while my daughter was still in high school so that I could, and I did a lot in the community. I've always like kind of worked, but it was more of a volunteer thing. Okay. So like Junior Civic League, I was on the women's board at the hospital. I handled all the events at the Bishop Leger School. My kids went to parochial schools. Lots of reading book days with kids to listen to them read and all that. So that's all going on simultaneously, as then I start this little side business that's called Find Your Fabulous. And it's where I work with men too, but mostly women, to help them feel good in the clothes that they wear. And during this time of this building this business, I realized that, a lot of women, not all, but a lot of women really are kind of what I was going through, finding themselves,
Right.
finding confidence, finding self-esteem, and, more than anything, self-love. And to be able to, all of these women that I worked with looked amazing in what they were wearing, but they needed me to say yes. So I started thinking about that, and I was journaling about it, and I was soul searching, not only for myself, but for women in general. And that then, fast forward, that was inspiration for my book, because I want to explain to you what my definition is of Find Your Fabulous. Finding your fabulous is not about the clothes you wear. It's not your hairstyle. It's not the makeup you wear. It's not your career. It's not your family. It is inside of you. Finding you, loving you. And on the outside of the book, it says, love yourself on the inside so you can look great on the outside. That's been my journey. Now, I did in 2018, I started, now that both kids are out of the house, I then took my Find Your Fabulous career and it added marketing and advertising that I do for other companies. So I started my own S Corp. So it's Schultz and Bettendorf Corporation. So all the other little things that I do are under that S Corp umbrella. So I'm doing a lot of different things, but I got to tell you guys, marketing advertising, it's great. And I love to be around people and all of that, but that's not my jam. My jam is working with women to help them feel fabulous. And that is me. I can help people, but it's an inside job. So they've got to do it. But I like to help inspire people and give them the tools to help themselves. And
So
that's
Debbie,
one in a nutshell.
oh, sorry about that. I love that. I'm curious because as you were talking, I'm one of those women that, while I feel like I have enough self-esteem for most people. It drives people crazy sometimes, but I'm one that I do not really love to dress myself. I have a friend that I'm just like, hey, here's all of the clothes I have, tell me what looks good, so that, because that's not something that I really ever cared about so much. I know that it's important, but I always just kept it basic. I'm in a black t-shirt and jeans or something like that, something that's casual. And there I go again. I am just losing. I'm ready. I'm ready.
You know what? Find it. Find that earring.
I want to find it.
But that's funny too. Like, you haven't look. Things happen, and when the earring fell off in the intro, and you're like, oh my gosh, I hate to be by myself. She's usually on here with my earring fell off. It's a whole thing, and this is exactly what this show is about, though. It's like things in life, and ourselves. Sometimes things don't go as planned. Maybe we don't feel like we look like we should. We want something else, but it's a matter of how you rolled with it and you laughed about it, and it's perspective. And so, here we are. We're having a blast. Your earring fell off. Natalie's frozen somewhere. I don't know, in virtual land. And we're still plowing on, and we're having a great time. Everything's fine. It's the same thing with us in life. It's like, you have a bad hair day. You gain 5 pounds. Big whoop. That's in our control. Okay.
Right.
We can do something about those things. What we have to work on is just genuinely loving who we are with all of our flaws. We can work on getting better, but in the moment, still acknowledge the flaws and say, okay, I don't love that about myself, but I love me. How can I get better with that?
So I think, and as you're talking about that, I've got so many questions about the book and about finding your fabulous. But I think about business owners, because that's the passion of Natalie and I, right? That's the reason that we both jumped on this journey for the show, is because we want to make sure that every business owner that's starting a business has all of the tools and resources they need to build a sustainable business, because success is subjective, right? What's successful to me is not necessarily the same thing that's going to be successful to you. So when you're talking about finding your fabulous, let's talk about the importance of that for those people that are going into business. How is this going to impact them?
Yeah, this is huge. Oh, I hear feedback here. It is so important for, what? Self-love, self-confidence all starts with us. So if you are on a path to do something great for yourself, building a business or whatever, if you don't have what it takes on the inside, it's going to constantly throw up roadblocks. You probably won't even do it because you're not going to have the confidence and self-esteem and self-love to project it forward. So, I've met a lot of people, and I've worked with some people who always have an excuse why they cannot do something. And they can. They absolutely can. It's a matter of believing that they can and taking and putting action behind it. So with what you're saying, I get what you're saying. It's a matter of having what it takes on the inside. So when you build this business and you're with clients and all of that, you're able to handle people. You're able to stand firm and, protocols for your business. Is that the question? Is that what you mean? Like, I can't hear you.
I was muted for a sec. We were trying to make sure the feedback wasn't due to my mic. I'm trying to understand the mindset, because it sounds like there's a mindset shift that needs to happen, that we are fabulous. Everyone is inherently fabulous. We all have gifts and talents on the inside of us that we don't recognize sometimes. And so it's looking at that. And when I'm hearing you talk about finding your fabulous, I feel like that's a mindset status, right? That if I don't see myself as a leader, as whatever role I'm taking in my company. If I'm starting it, if I don't see myself as CEO, I don't see myself as having the skills or the abilities or the talents to build this company, then it's never going to get off the ground. And it's looking and saying, I need to address the person as well as the business, right?
Shane, you hit it right on the head, because let's think about it like this. It's finding confidence and mindset at a soul level. And what I mean by that is, if you listen to your intuition, which is a very tiny little voice in comparison to our ego, which is a big, big voice. And as Steve Rizzo says, it's the big mouth in your head. The ego is. And it always likes to throw up those roadblocks. It always likes to come in and say what you can't do. And it doesn't want you to believe in yourself. And I don't know if, there are some egos that are bigger than others, right? And some of that comes from trauma, and some of that comes from the way that we were raised and all of these things. But all of that aside, trauma, the way you're raised, all of that, we can't make excuses of what's happened to us in our lives or the way that we were raised to not do the things that we're meant to do. I talk about soul purpose all the time, and that my soul's purpose was to be a mother full time, do all the other things that I did. Yes. But my main focus was that, and it brought me joy. And I felt like at that time that was my soul's purpose. And then I shifted, and then I was lost. I was struggling. And I hate to say that out loud, because I don't want to ever speak out any negativities, but I'm being real with y'all right now. And I was on a path of figuring it out. And when I really started to listen to my soul and my intuition and started saying, I can do this. This is what I want to do. What's stopping me? I believe in myself. And I had the mindset, Shanna, like you're saying, the mindset that nothing is going to stop me. I am going to believe in myself. And when I hear the big mouth in my head, thank you, Steve Rizzo, I will stifle it. And I'll let that intuition and the belief in myself come to fruition. So when I talk to people, and it's so funny. I mean, when you're trying to give somebody advice, or, they may ask for it, and you're like, well, this is, and they're just, you can see them tune out. And I think it's because it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work to retrain yourself to hear your intuition instead of the big mouth. It's every day, every minute of every day, catching yourself in negativity and saying, oh gosh, I don't know, and replacing it with the positive. So I think that a lot of people don't believe in law of attraction. They think it's a bunch of hullabaloo, and I believe in it. And I am a testament to believing in yourself by learning to listen to your intuition and spirituality and your soul's purpose and love and kindness. And it wins. It wins. And for those who think that it doesn't, they're not going to win.
Right.
Or not. So it is a mindset, 100%.
Well, and you were saying it's a lot of work. It's hard. It's hard work, because it's a lot easier for me to say, I can't do it. It releases me of all responsibility to even try. So it is, I think that is the key for a lot of people. That's why we give up. It's so much easier to sit and say, I can't do it. And we have those reinforcements, whether it's social media where we're comparing ourselves, or just the way that, like you said, some trauma, something that happened, the way that we grew up. If we had less than supportive parents, or not everyone's sole purpose was like yours. And I felt the same way. My kids, just that was a calling. It was an amazing opportunity to, steward these humans. And looking at them now, it's just like, okay, did I make the right, you never know, but it was like, we're moving forward in this. And I love that. But if you didn't have that type of parent or that type of care, it's easy to sit back and not look for that, or just push down what you've been called to do. And so I love that you're calling that out, and that you're offering people, an accessible way to find what's inside of them. It's there. It may be buried. You pushed it down underneath all of the noise and all of the mess that comes at you, life circumstances, but it's there. So I love that there are people like you who are encouraging us, just saying, hey, you can do it. So yes, great message.
You
I'm
know,
loving this. Go ahead.
Yeah, Shannon. The thing is, like, I feel like every time we talk about something like this, you or me or whoever, I don't care. I just think the message needs to be delivered as many times and as often as possible by all different people, because sometimes what one person says, it might not resonate with someone, but then maybe you could say the same thing and they're like, oh, it clicks, it hits differently. And so the message is this, love yourself. And when people say, well, how do you do that? It's like, well, I found it, okay, but it's still work. So there's days where I feel like I lost it and I got to go find it again.
Yeah.
And then so it's a constant flow, ebb and flow of, there's feelings, there's emotions, there's hormones, there's all these things going on in our body. But the message is so clear that if what we say can help one person realize that, oh, wait a minute, love myself at a soul level, snuff out that ego, the big loud man and that's yelling at me. And what's my intuition saying that I'm able to do? And, I got to mention Jason Freeman, who was on my show last week. He was born with a speech impediment, and there was like a kink, a knot in his umbilical cord.
Wow.
And so he lost oxygen. So he has a brilliant mind. He's absolutely brilliant, but he has a speech impediment and his motor skills are severely altered. So you look at him and he does public speaking and he's difficult sometimes to understand, but you know what he thought? I love myself. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I have something to offer. And he did it. Now, this is a man who could have had all the excuses in the world. And we would have been like, we get that. I understand why you're not a public speaker. I get it. But you know what he said? I have a speech impediment. I have motor skill issues, but I'm going to get up on stage and I'm going to deliver my message, and people love him. We need him in this world, just like we need every other unique human being. No one's like you. No one's like me. And if this message gets to someone where they're like, no one's ever said that to me before. Well, there you go. No one's like you and we need you. So shine your light and stop dimming yourself. Stop giving yourself excuses and go do what you think you want to do. If you don't know what you want to do yet, go through your day and decide what brings you joy. Pay attention to what you like.
So Debbie, I have a question for you. I was thinking about this, and I'll tell you why after you answer. But what happens when life comes at you, and you lose that, or you feel like you've lost your fabulous? So that's different than not knowing you had it, but knowing you had it and feeling like you lost it.
Yeah.
How do you recover from that? And I don't know if you've ever gone through anything like that where, okay.
Yeah, because I always say this too. It's really important because no one is 100% every day in your mind and your body. Whether it's a workout, you might have a great strong workout one day, and then the next day you might be like, well, I feel like I can't even lift a pencil. What's wrong with me? So, we all, like I said earlier, when I feel like, just when I think I've found my fabulous, which we know what that means now, there are times where I start feeling like, am I on the right path?
Right.
Am I doing the right thing? And I start questioning stuff. And in that moment, I've learned to do this as my exercise. I then allow myself to have an internal conversation. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes I'm talking straight out to myself. And my husband's like, are you talking to me? I'm like, I'm talking to myself. Stop interrupting. Where I'm like, no, you've got this, Debbie. You're on the path. It's the right path for you. It brings you joy. It's all about love, kindness, positivity that you want to shine out into the world. Yeah, you're doing the right thing. It's good, or, if, things happen in life, you lose people.
Yeah.
Friendships may fizzle a little bit, things, careers, you may not love what you're doing in your career. And you got to really go deep inside and decide, is this what's still meant for me? Should I look elsewhere? And in those moments where you're not feeling it, then you just say, why, Debbie, are you not feeling it? What's going on? Pay attention to yourself. I always say, I always paid so close attention to my children, what their likes were, what their dislikes were. Have you ever, really, what is your favorite thing to do? Ask yourself questions, get to know yourself. Who are you? What brings me joy? What do I love to do? What do I love to share? And then have that conversation. And journaling is amazing. Exercise is amazing. Staying hydrated is amazing. Like a lot of times you can get down in the dumps. Depression is a huge thing in our world. It seems to be worse than ever. And I think that, and someone touched on it earlier, social media and comparison game.
Yeah.
That's a game none of us want to play. Comparing yourself, because you know what? We just said earlier, I'm unique. You and I are different, man. Like,
Right.
we have something different to share and to offer in this world. So me comparing myself to you and your success makes absolutely no sense. So no, the comparison game needs to go bye-bye.
I love that. I remember
tools you can do to push yourself. Go for a brisk walk, light a candle, put on the music you like, some meditation music, kind of get in the zone, say a prayer, talk to a girlfriend. That fills my cup. If you have a really good girlfriend, you can just go, I want to, thanks, I feel better now. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I love it. The comparison game, that was one of the things I will never forget. A message I heard that just said, comparing yourself will always make you feel either superior or inferior. And neither of those are good positions.
That's right.
And so it was just like, that stood out to me because we fall into that. But the reason I asked you the question I did, a lot of people that may have watched the show or know me in any way know that my husband passed away many years ago. And like I said, I've never had any problems with confidence. But then when that happened, life came at me so hard. My kids were in high school at the time. And so this was just like a new normal. It was like we had to adjust to everything all over. And I lost, and I didn't even realize what was going on, but I felt lost for so long. And it wasn't like I attached my identity necessarily, who I was necessarily, to who we were, but there was a big part of me that's what made me who I was. That's what helped to shape me, was the love and support in that relationship. And so feeling like you've lost that, I just wonder how many of our audience members are out there, male or female. It really is recognizing that life is still going to come at you, but it doesn't change inherently what you are called to do or who you were called to be. And looking for those moments, or recognizing, that's what we're trying to understand here, is how do you maintain yourself? How do you navigate through all of life's circumstances and challenges and still remember how fabulous and unique you are and what you were brought to this world to do? Because like you said, you and I are unique and we have different messages, but I firmly believe that all of these things work together, that your message is complementary to mine, that there may be some overlap, but we both got something that we need to share that will help bring, that love and support and grace and, just all of the things that we need, that we as humans need. So you have touched me in just the way that you're speaking and your passion for just people and helping them come to who they are. I think once they do that, once more people realize just how amazing they are and what they can bring, we're going to see a shift, not just in businesses and lives and families and, relationships. It's going to change, but we've got to first start with what you're trying to get everyone to realize. You are amazing. You are here on purpose and for a purpose, right? 100%. So it's just step into that.
We're here on purpose. I think, are they wanting to go on a break?
I think so. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for paying attention to that, Debbie.
I just believe
Yeah, so we're going to take a quick commercial break, fill your coffee up, but come back with us. We've got Debbie Schultz Bettendorf. She will be right back with us. We're going to keep talking about finding your fabulous when we return.
One of the problems that I've had thus far is that I'm going on my experience. I'm building a business on my heartache. And one of the things that I've had to take out of that is you can't build a business entirely on emotion. And so this allows me to take the emotion out of it. This is what you need to do, whether you like it or not.
A wise man once asked, what if starting a business was like jumping out of a plane? And like 76% of businesses, what if 76% of parachutes failed before you reached the destination? What about those of you who have already jumped? Well, you may still have time to check your business. Pillar5.com, where businesses get it right.
And we're back with Debbie Schultz Bettendorf. I keep wanting to just mix your name up there, but I'm catching it. I'm catching it.
Here's what's so funny. When we were leaving and you almost said Betty, didn't you?
Yes.
Here's what's so funny. I got to tell you, everyone, when I meet people for the first time, like, it was really nice to meet you. I'm Debbie Bettendorf. I must be like a whole lot of B's. I can't tell you how many people call me Betty. It's like, nice to meet you, Betty. And I'm like, okay.
Most people call me Mavis because that's my last name. For whatever reason, they cannot remember Shanna. It's Mavis. So I'm just like, okay, nice to meet you, Johnson.
Yeah.
We can play the last name game, no problem.
I love it. That's funny.
Yeah. All right, we're back talking about finding your fabulous. I love this topic. I love that it's mindset related, because that's the first thing that we really want business owners to understand, is that if you don't realize, or if you don't recognize your mindset, if you don't feel like you have what it takes, if you don't look at a legacy, creating a legacy, it really is about how you see yourself. Do you still view yourself as an employee, or do you see yourself more as the business owner? Where is your mindset? It's not just about, do you feel good? There's so much more to it, but it's also recognizing that the person is separate from the business, that you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to recognize, just what you've got. You've got to focus on wellness, all of the things that come with just whether you have a business or not. Don't neglect that when you say, I'm starting a business. How did you, Debbie, and I got it right, navigate that when you decided, okay, I can do this. This is what I'm meant to do. I've got to help more people. This is my calling now. It is now not just an idea. It is, you felt it from your soul. I've got to do this. How did you start shifting everything? Because it's a change in just, hey, I'm fabulous. I know this, but now I've got to communicate this to everyone. I've got to build a team. I've got to market. I've got to do all of the things. How was that journey for you?
Yeah. So one of the things that really helped me was being able to get in front of groups of people, taking the action. Listen, like we talked before, it was a soul searching deal for me. And I think that if we would be remiss to say that anyone you can't avoid that. You can't, like, even for the people who say they don't believe in God, or they're not spiritual or whatever. I could debate it all day long, because honestly, we're all spiritual beings. We are all energy. I feel
Right.
your energy through the screen, Shanna. I mean, I feel you and your heart, and I'm so happy to have met you. But, so this soul searching that I had gone through, that I'm still going through, helped propel me forward and give me the courage that I needed to start. And one of the things that I started doing was I was invited to and hired to go into different colleges, different universities, and speak on what to wear for an interview. Because, college kids, you get used to wearing sweatpants and holy jeans,
Yeah.
all of these things. So they started having me come in different universities, and I would do PowerPoint presentation or prezzies. And it felt so good. It was, and what ended up shifting with me was it was showing them pictures of, you put this and this together. We all have our own personal style. I love it. I love everybody's style. But if you go into a conservative company to interview in holy jeans, they're going to be like, why are you wasting my time?
Yeah.
It's a matter of respect. And I was just teaching them that stuff, eye contact, how to shake a hand, all of these extra things. But I always made sure that while I was there, I talked to them about confidence. And the segue to it was about, eye contact. It's difficult for younger kids that are always used to being on their phones. If you've noticed, when you talk to them face to face, it's awkward for them. A lot of people that aren't used to having face to face conversation.
Yeah.
And so that would then be a segue into, be confident in who you are and look people in their eyes. You can tell a lot, when you're really talking to someone and you're looking in their eyes. When you shake someone's hand, I don't want you to like break it, but let them know you're there. Let them know you're shaking their hand. It's all about this confidence and this, you're interviewing the company as much as they're interviewing you.
Right.
Own it. Know who you are. So I did this, and 2020 hit my last, before 2020, I've started back again, but was at Marshall in March of 2020. And the next week, the world shut down. So, it took me away that way for a while, but that helped too. Over the years doing these presentations and helping other people. It's a dance party.
I know. I was like, wait, what's happening?
It's a dance party. You know what it is? It's life is like a song. We're all going to dance. Don't ever stop dancing. But, it is. And so for me, it was business is, I believe that if you have the right mindset and you believe in yourself, whatever business you want to have, you can. You can. And I've met so many people where the odds were against them. And you know what? That's an event I did. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Goodhue, he's in Columbus. And that was an event that I hosted for him. And I did like a Hollywood theme.
I love it. You are into like everything.
Yeah. Well, it's just, different clients. So under the umbrella of the S Corp, I do marketing and advertising. So then I put stuff together like that. So
I love that you just said that, because you've mentioned this twice, the umbrella. And I think a lot of business owners, or, at least a lot of the ones that I've run into, they think that way, but don't know how to structure it. They're not sure of the steps. And I know that that's one of the things that we talk about with I Do Systems, who sponsors the show. Pillar 5 helps you understand, step by step, how to build this sustainable business, but recognizing that you need multiple revenue streams. I love that you are structuring that and that business owners are hearing, hey, it's not just one path that you have to take, because you've got so many different things inside of you. I feel like that's the same way for a lot of us. We've got a whole bunch of different skills and talents. It's how do you focus those in to serve people, to serve these markets? So I'm excited, and I love that he keeps showing, different facets of Debbie.
Yeah. I've had a lot of fun. And what happens is I think people paint themselves into a corner of, no, when I started the business, Find Your Fabulous, to dress people and to go through their wardrobes and do wardrobe makeovers and all of that, that's how it started. But then it went into all of these different things. And then I started thinking, well, I market myself. I mean, I started this business. I didn't hire any marketing or advertising. It was mostly me marketing. It was me marketing myself and word of mouth, and the newspaper covered it. And then, I started a business page, and I'm just like, let's see what happens. And the thing of it is, I got to tell you, because I said this on one of my other interviews, was the fact that I had been considering doing the Find Your Fabulous for like 2 years before I actually did it. And I had been on a trip to LA with one of my best friends, and all of the girls that we still stay in touch from high school. We meet somewhere every 2 years. But on my way home, it was a 4-hour flight from the West Coast to the East Coast. And I met this lady on the plane, and we struck up conversation, which I told myself not to talk to the person next to me this time, because all my friends were making fun of me. Like, people don't want to talk to you. They're on a flight. They want to take a nap. And I'm like, I'm going to be quiet. I'm not. Well, then she talked to me first, and then opened the door.
Yeah.
And so she then asked me what I did, and all this. And I was like, well, I do have this idea. And I just was like, bleh. And she goes, why aren't you doing it? And I was like, I guess I'm scared, and I am type A, and I like things to be perfect. And we all know it's not a perfect world. And she said a couple of things to me that really hit home. And as luck would have it for me, on my end, luck, she had worked in Maui, or not Maui. What am I? I'm in the wrong way. Malibu. I'm in Hawaii somewhere.
Nice.
In Malibu, she worked for Camp Powerment, which Oprah had covered in her magazine. And it's where women go to find themselves. And there's no technology. You can't have a phone, anything. And you do round circle, you do yoga. People would climb to the top of this post, and they would be bungee cord, and they would say what they want to release. And then they would say what they want to do. And then they jump. Oh my God. And they're like on this huge mountaintop. And like she said, people would be bawling. And I'm like, that is so cathartic. Like, that is amazing. And she's like, yeah, so you don't want to be sitting in a rocking chair someday going, I could have, I had all the tools, and I just was scared, and I didn't do anything. And you know what? I got home, and within a week, I had contacted the state, put in own my name, named it Find Your Fabulous, and buddy is off to the races. So
Love it.
All it takes is one person to say the right thing at the right time. This that you need to hear. Maybe what we're saying, we're inspiring somebody right now. How exciting is that?
It is exciting. I love it. And I'm hoping that we're inspiring someone. And I'm hoping, you brought up fear. And that is something that stops so many of us. I was speaking with a business owner that I work with, and I asked her, what are you afraid of as far as this business goes? Before we start working together, let's establish this so that we can address that. And it was the fear of failing and the fear of what people thought.
That's even bigger.
Yes.
That's even bigger.
That is something.
And what if I try this and then I fail, and everybody's going to think I'm a big loser? And I said to myself, but if I try and I fail, it's not a failure, is it? Because right. I've tried. And what do we teach our kids? Get up there and go try it. I mean, even if it's a food that they haven't tried.
Yeah.
Now, don't you say you don't like it just by the way it looks. You try that. And if you really don't like it, you don't have to eat it. But right. Try it. That's what we teach. But you know what? We got to walk the walk. If we're going to tell our kid to try it, we got to try it too. So I did, and it's been wonderful. It's been, I've had my ups and downs, but overall, I'm so happy that I just put action behind my thoughts and behind my idea. And here we are, right?
Were you always confident as a kid?
No.
Okay.
I could say that I just was talking to some girlfriends about this the other day. So if you would ask someone from high school, was Debbie confident? They would say, yeah, but I wasn't. Who is at that age? And also, there are times where I have to kick my own hind end now and say, what do you think? What do you be? No, you got this. It's a whole internal conversation, like a war going on every day. But, the reason I say I wasn't confident is because I was a people pleaser. I still tend to be that way. But it's only because I want to be kind and I want people to be happy. And, but I'm way better now. I stand for myself first. but I would put myself down sometimes, I think, to make other people feel better. I felt like that's something I needed to do. No one, I don't believe anybody wanted me to do that. That was something I chose to do for whatever reason. And I think that's me being insecure and not fully understanding my gifts and not owning them.
Yeah.
And as I've aged and even into my 40s, that's when I said, I don't want to pretend not to have these gifts anymore. I'm going to let them shine. God gave them to me. Now it's time to use what I've been given. Same for everybody else. We stifle ourselves. I don't know why. I still don't know why. I just know that it needed to stop and I needed to own who I was and appreciate me and truly love who I am inside.
I love that you said that. And I also love the honesty. I don't know why. And I would love for anyone to weigh in. Anyone that's listening, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this because it is something that is, I feel like, is prevalent. And I'd say more women than men. I feel like men, yeah, more women than men. We'll just leave it there. Yeah. But I feel like we do tend to stifle ourselves, false humility, and just putting ourselves down. Not necessarily. I don't get that, but I know that I've been guilty of that as well. That I will downplay my role in anything, and sometimes I feel like it is for a greater good because I don't want that necessarily. Yeah, I don't necessarily want or need the attention on me. So it's just like it's what I did, right? And it's done. But I think there are other times that we won't even speak up, that it's just like we're so afraid to, just say, yeah, that was me. And I know I battled and still battle pride, right? That's a huge thing for some of us. And so I would shift to the exact opposite. And so it's now not just downplaying completely everything that I've done, all of the accomplishments, and recognizing fully for me, just from the position that I come from, I believe that my gifts were God given as well. So downplaying those doesn't really benefit me or anyone around me. And it's recognizing that. But again, that's my journey. But I would be curious to hear how many other people feel like that's what they do now. Do you recognize it? Do you even see it? We can see it in others for sure. Because I can recognize sitting here talking to you and I'm like, why would she ever not say, how amazing she is? Because I've seen this. I've seen some of your work. I've heard you on interviews and it's like, why would she ever doubt that? But we do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to say something about you too. You shine. I could tell immediately when you popped on screen and prior to the show, I was like, oh, we're gonna have so much fun. But when you say you downplay stuff, so humility and being humble is a beautiful thing, right? So you being humble and kind and loving, that's great. But when it gets to a point where you're putting yourself down or you're making yourself small in order to help other people feel big, my new concept is I'm going to shine and I'm going to feel like I own my space when I'm in the room too.
Yeah.
But I want to also help build you up so we can do this together because wow. But the other part that I wanted to mention was not being able to take a compliment. When someone says, "Oh my gosh, you have a beautiful smile," oh yeah, but I got a blister right here and I got, it's like, well, just say thank you. And I've really been working on that. Like when someone gives me a compliment, instead of going, "Oh my gosh, but my pants are so tight," and you should, just say thank you. I appreciate that.
It is so hard.
It is.
We find it so hard to do that. And I love that Denise O'Malley, she's from You Define Wellness. I love her comment because she was answering our question, good little girl syndrome. We were taught not to brag. And I was like, wow, that is so true.
Denise.
Yeah, you hit it spot on there. That is definitely one of the things. I'd love to hear more things, that people had to say, some of your reasonings or just from your experience when you've talked to people, if we've got any psychologists or counselors or specialists out there that have done some research on this. We would love to understand, and we would love to offer our audience ways to not only just recognize, but then how do you address that? How do you change that behavior? Because, that's what this is all about. Finding your fabulous is one aspect of it, but here's another thing that we really need to recognize, because we're fine. We have a lot going for us. So recognize that and step into what you are called to do boldly.
Step into your power. We all have it. We do. We all have it. What is your superpower? And when you ask yourself questions, like I said earlier, like I ask people questions all the time and I'm like listening to their answer and I'm all engaged. And then if I ask myself the same question, I'm like, I can't answer that. I got to think about it. So, getting to acquainted with you, you know what I mean? But I want to say, Denise, thanks for coming in and saying that, because it's so true. And also the good little girl syndrome. I've never heard of that. I'm not going to forget it, but it also has to do with that part of, so not bragging, which no one really wants to brag, but I think even better said is not being able to take a compliment. Wow, that's good, Denise. Thanks for sharing. I love it. Yeah.
So Debbie, tell me this. I know we've got just a couple more minutes with you, and I want to ask about finding your fabulous. Is that like an ongoing process? I mean, do you find it, recognize it? Is that the end? I've got it. I'm good to go for the rest of my life.
No, not at all. Not at all. And, I even say in my book that, let's just recap here, because find your fabulous is not about the clothes. Even though I love clothes, I love fashion, style. I love everyone's style as long as it fits their body correctly. Like when I work with women, I always say, I look through their wardrobe. I can kind of tell what they like. And then we just make sure it fits their body appropriately, because no one wants to see the same person walking around. We're all unique. We have our own style. But, when our body changes as we age, and, we have to understand that maybe our style can not necessarily our style change, but maybe our fit will need to change. And so as we go through life, everything changes. Nothing stays the same. And so sometimes transitions is a difficult period, and you got to find your fabulous again, meaning clothes, maybe hair, maybe makeup, but more importantly, find your space in the world.
Yeah.
Are you still finding joy in your life? Are you still finding your fabulous in your career? Are you still finding fabulous in your friendships? Are you with the people who build you up? Sometimes you got to back away from the, soul suckers. It's the people that I always say this, I've said this numerous times. If you meet someone for lunch and you're chatting and you leave and you feel icky, that's a sign. If you go and you have lunch and you leave like, I'm going to skip out of here, that's also a sign.
Yeah.
That's your people. Yeah. You want to be, and, just like the food that you eat, being healthy, mind, body, and spirit. It's not just about finding your fabulous on the clothes. It's about fueling yourself with all the good things, the good people, and the spirituality, and the food that you nourish your body with. I'm not saying I don't have Doritos and all that stuff. Occasionally, yes, I do. And a pizza and, whatever. But the majority of my life, I really try to make good decisions for my body and my mind and all of that. And I'm not a perfect person, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and I'm sure I'll continue, but I try to right myself back on the track, and everyone can do this. Finding your fabulous is doable. It's just you internally. You're not going to find it in a book. Now, listen, that can be inspiring. We can be inspiring. A book can be inspiring, but you're not going to find it by any outside source. It's inside, and finding it daily and reminding yourself when my feet hit the ground, I say, thank you, God, for another day. I'm grateful. Let's get it done. Let's go. Let's appreciate the moment. I've been talking to my daughter about that. She's in law school now. She's like, gotta do this, gotta do this. And I'm like, that's how I've lived my life.
Right.
Let's slow the roll. Let's say, hey, right now I'm living in today and I'm in the moment. I'm finding my fabulous today. Right now I'm finding my fabulous with you, Shanna. I love this. Thank you. So no, it's not a one and done. It's a constant effort to find your fabulous. Yeah.
It changes as you change.
It changes as you change. And if you try to make it not change like I did, then you're going to be, it's depression session. It's
I love that.
It's not good. You got to change, and I've heard this quote, what in life, good or bad, things are going to change. So try to roll with it. Go with the flow. Yeah.
I love what that user just said. It's a state of being. Yeah. So we've only got a few more minutes. I want to talk about your show real quickly so that people know where they can find you, learn more about finding their fabulous. Tell us all the ways that we can get in touch with you and just a little bit about the show.
Okay, real quick. If you guys look at debbiesbizcard.com, all my stuff's on there, all my platforms. That's all you got to do. Click on it. You can find me anywhere. About the show, it's called Find It. It's not Find Your Fabulous. It's just called Find It. Every guest that comes on, they inspire us to find something that they have found in their lives, whether that's success, health, kindness, compassion, going through hard times and finding light at the end of the tunnel. Finding, I've had a lot, I'm having someone on about abuse, someone on about addiction. I've already had someone on about that. I've had, Jason Freeman, who, was born with this, speech impediment and motor skill issues, and how he found himself to love himself with all of those disabilities anyway. And I've had football coaches on. Uh-oh. There she is.
You look amazing.
That was my birthday. I was having champagne. I said I was having a mimosa, hold the orange juice. But anyway, everybody that comes on, I just say, we all have a story. We have all found something. Share it with us to inspire us to find it.
So tell us one thing that the audience can do to find it. Give us something.
You know what I love? My show is helping me even more to grow. Listening to other people and understanding that everyone has hardships. Everyone has life happenings that could stifle them if they choose. The mindset that you have for your life matters. So like I said, I love to get up and say, no matter what, I chug 8 ounce. I have 8-ounce glass of water by my bed that I put there before I go to sleep. When I roll out, I say, thank you, God, for another day. I'm going to get hydrated because Lord knows I get really bad through the day. I forget. I get really good for like 2 weeks. And then like a whole day goes by and I'm like, I don't think I've had a sip of anything. So I suck that down and say, have another day, feet on the floor. Let's go. Let's do this. And be grateful for the life that you have and be grateful for the wonderful you that we need in this world. So true. And I'm not just saying this. I mean it. Anybody that knows me knows I mean this. They sometimes think I'm a little crazy. They're like, how can you do this? I'm like, because I choose to. I choose to think this. And I believe it with my whole heart.
Well, all you need to do is just take out one earring.
Take one earring out and just call it a day. You're going to start a new trend.
All right, Debbie, we so appreciate you for coming on. Now I can't even get it back in.
That's all right.
I committed to the bit. Debbie Schultz Bettendorf, find it. You can, what day is it on?
It's on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Perfect. Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. Catch Debbie Schultz Bettendorf with any of her guests talking about Find It. She's the author of Find Your Fabulous and our guest expert today. We loved having you on here. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us. It has been an amazing hour, at least for me. I hope you found as much as I did in that time with Debbie. we want to make sure that we thank I Do Systems, the creators of Pillar 5. They're the ones that sponsor the show and bring this content to you to hopefully help you better your business. Do something today that's going to help you. Find out where you are, what stage of business you are in, because that's going to help you get to where you need to go. You can do that by going to pillar5.com or app.pillar5.com/try. There is a 30-day trial. Get in there, find out your life cycle stage, and then see what you need to do to move forward. But until next time, we thank you so much for being here and look forward to seeing you next week.
Our goal is simple: to help you achieve the dream and vision you first had when you thought about starting a business. We're here to make growing your business less complicated. There are building blocks to build a sustainable business. We promise to seek them out and address them all. The Better Your Business Show starts now.